Some people may not be ready to hear this, but it needs to be said because I know for a fact I am not the only one who feels this. I know this. The idea of black excellence is exhausting. What about black mediocrity? Why? Why can't that be a thing? And now let me explain. Let me fucking explain. And so many of us have gotten the talk from our parents. They're like, you've got to work twice as hard or 5 times as hard as the next white kid to get to the same place that they're at or whatever. And so a lot of us worked so fucking hard that we developed anxiety in our adulthood. Because we're like, we've got to be the best. You got to be the best. Like, you cannot be average. And it's exhausting. It's like, you cannot be black and average. Actually, being average can be a fucking death sentence. Being anything less than extraordinary, being anything less than an extraordinary Negro can be a death sentence. What do I mean by that? Oh my gosh. What about like George Floyd for one fucking thing? They killed this man, and the first thing that they do is they go and they look up this man's criminal record and use that to justify his fucking death, when no sane person on earth would would agree that whatever crimes he committed warranted fucking death. But that's the first thing that people go to look at. They look at your fucking background. If you are anything less than exceptional, then that could be a fucking death sentence for you. It's like, look, this guy wasn't worth this. It is basically saying like, hey, this person wasn't worth shit in their life because they weren't the first black astronaut to land on Mercury or whatever. Like, that's literally the vibe. And you know, there's so many black excellence pages out there that are like, this fucking kid got accepted to 6 Ivy League schools and they have a 5.0 GPA and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I am so fucking happy for those people and for those kids. I have been those people. I have been those kids. But you do not need to be ridiculously excellent for your life to matter. You do not have to be the first black astronaut to land on Mercury for you to matter. Like, that should not be a thing. It might be controversial, but black mediocrity should be treasured. That is a right. The right to be mediocre and average. The right to be mediocre and average even is hard. Like, is something that we have to strive for. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, even like the Central Park Amy situation, where she was, obviously like very clearly in the wrong, and of course they looked up the background of the black man that she harassed, and they're like, oh, look at him, he's educated, he does bird watching, like he's so sweet and demure, and it kind of had the air of he's one of the good black people. And she fucked up because she fucked with one of the good black people, one of the excellent Negroes. Seriously, I am so serious about this. As someone who has grown up with this idea, who as a kid who was told about black excellence at a very young age and basically drilled into me that if I am not excellent at everything at all times 24/7, my life doesn't matter. And that is something that I am dealing with in therapy right now. This notion, like this feeling that I am not worth anything unless I am doing something incredibly extraordinary. Black mediocrity. It's a must. Like, to give ourselves permission to be imperfect, to give ourselves permission to relax, to step away from things. Like, I've had such a hard time saying no to things because I'm like, I have to do everything. I have to be Superwoman. I have to be Iron Woman. I have to. I had such a hard time saying no. I still do. I still heap things on my calendar subconsciously because I'm like, if I am not active, if I am not always doing something, my life doesn't equate to anything. It's not worth anything. It's so exhausting. Black excellence is exhausting. We should have the right to black mediocrity. We should have the right to black mediocrity. To just like chill, just have a bath and a glass of wine, be fucking average. There's nothing wrong with being average. Go to an average school, have an average nice little life with an average home, like, you know, that is completely fine. It's completely fine. I feel like we need to get this idea out of our heads that unless we are being exceptional Negroes, our life doesn't matter. That undertone is just always fucking there. It's always there. So-and-so, they graduated, they got 2 law degrees and a zoology degree. Like, it's just like, you have to be superhuman. It's like, you have to be superhuman in order for you to matter. Like, you have to be so fucking impressive. You can't just be like, you can't be anywhere in the middle. You can't. And that is a right, and I think we need to fight for. The right to just exist in the fucking middle. And our lives matter. I preach black mediocrity. I do. Cause I'm like we just need to, we need to have the right to feel like we are enough just as we are. Like, we matter just as we are. That us being exceptional is not what adds value to your life. You existing as a person, you have an innate, like, you have the same value as any other human being on this earth. And if you choose excellence, if you choose to climb a mountain, if you choose that, then look, fan-fucking-tastic. Like I said, I'm one of those people who likes a challenge. Like, I'm one of those people that are very competitive, and I feel like I have to do extraordinary things. But it also can be very deteriorating, and it can be very, very exhausting. I know there's other black people out there that feel exactly the same way. I want to say to you, it is completely okay for you to be less than extraordinary, like, in life, and maybe just sometimes, it's completely okay, and you are not doing anything wrong by not being the first black astronaut to land on Mercury or something like that. Like, the first black person to touch the sun. Like, you gotta fucking do the impossible. You don't have to do that for your life to matter. You don't have to do that to be valid. You are not letting anybody down if you are not a fucking superhuman. And your life still has meaning. We really have got to I really feel like we've got to get away a little bit. At least a little bit. Because excellence is fantastic, and shooting for the stars, I'm here for it. But there is no balance. I feel like there is no balance. And because of that, a lot of us are walking around out of whack, out of balance, feeling like we are lesser than. I know I do. And I know I've spoken to other black people who feel the exact same way. Black mediocrity. We gotta fight for it. Fight for black mediocrity. For your life just to matter as is, without having to be exceptional. For not being exceptional to not be a fucking death sentence. For you to be just average, just exist. Because sometimes and some days that is all we can do. because life sucks and it's draining, and sometimes all we can do is exist, and we need to recharge. And that that overwhelming sense of I have to be excellent all the time, like, takes away like any desire to relax or recharge or take care of ourselves, honestly. So yeah, it's like, which is crazy. In therapy, I'm like, it's not the excellence part that I'm struggling with. It's like the mediocrity. It's okay to be in the middle. It's completely okay. Hell, like, I've been taking a few breaks in the past few days myself, because I'm just like, you don't have to be everything to everybody. You can just relax. Go get some coffee with a friend, watch anime. Like, it's okay. I know there's other people out there that feel this way. Controversial, maybe. But Black mediocrity, it's a must.